Welcome back to In Between Cuisine. I'm Tony Hickman. So I've been on a little bit of a seafood kick lately, so I'm gonna go ahead and just roll with it. And today I'm gonna be making some lobster tails. So don't get intimidated by lobster tails. It's one of those things, you go out to a restaurant and you order it. It's one of the most expensive things on the menu, and you might think it's because it, just so complicated to make. That's not the case at all. It's actually one of the simplest things you can make. So I'm gonna show you this. You could actually do this in about 5 minutes. But first, we're gonna clarify some butter. And it just goes so good with lobster. You could do regular butter, just melted butter, but it just tastes 5 times better if you clarify your butter. So before we get into the lobster, let me show you how to clarify your butter so you can dip that lobster into a better butter. Let's get started. So I have a small saucepan, and I have 1 whole stick of unsalted butter. The heat is on low. You don't want to melt your butter on high heat because then it'll burn and turn brown and nasty and all kinds of things. So chop that up into little, teaspoon or tablespoon squares. Get this in here. It's going to take a minute because you do not want to rush this. I can't express how important that is to not rush this process. On low heat, I know we don't want to sit here and watch this melt, so we'll be right back when this is melted down a little bit on low heat. Alright, so this has been going for about 15 minutes now on low heat, and as you can see, it's starting to separate. So you got, your milk layer of fat on the top, the rest of the golden butter on the bottom there. So what you want to do is you want to try and skim off this top layer as best you can, if you can see that, and just put it into a bowl. And you could save that for later. You could put it on pretty much any recipe that requires butter. It's still butter. You could put it on if you don't want to waste it. Goes great over popcorn. You can just put it on anything that needs butter. But we want to take as much of this off as we can, leaving us with as much of the golden butter that we can. Not all of it, rose to the top, so give it a little stir. That'll let you get just a little more, but we're going to strain it again, so it's okay if you don't get all of it. Like so. Alright, we can set that aside. We can turn this heat off. So over here, let's see if you guys can see. Let's put this right there. Let's have a glass bowl, little strainer, and some cheesecloth. Very important you have cheesecloth. I mean, you can, when I tried to do this one time, I didn't have any cheesecloth, so I tried to use a paper towel. It eventually worked, but it took forever. Forever to finally soak through that paper towel and get the butter on the other side. I don't know if a coffee filter will work or not. It's a possibility. But all you want to do, put the butter right through and let that drain through. So just let that sit for a few minutes, let that drain all the way through, and you'll be left with some great clarified butter. And I told you it was super easy to clarify butter. So now let's get on to the other easy aspect. Let's dig into how to prep those lobsters. So here I have 2 4-ounce lobster tails that I bought earlier this morning. You always want to cook them, thawed out completely. They were about halfway thawed when I bought them, so you want to put them in cold water for about 30 minutes. Make sure they're completely thawed out. The little trick I saw that I use, how do you know if they're completely thawed? Pretty much if you could curl them into a little ball like that. That's how you know there's no more ice left in there. So that's what we're gonna be using for today. And let me show you how to cut these things open. All right, so we got our lobsters out of the water. And the first thing you wanna do, see if I can get closer for that for you guys, is using your cooking scissors, cut off all these little legs here. They just should snap right off. Just like that. Sorry, kind of losing focus. I don't know what's up with my camera here. But you get the idea. Make sure you get these ones that are right under here underneath the meat. Those are the real tough ones. Those are the ones you definitely don't want. Just like that. Now you want to flip it over on the hard shell side. This is the part that takes just a little bit of patience and skill. You get right underneath there, if you could see that, underneath that tail, and cut this all the way up to the tail. Don't get cut through the tail because you need it, but to right there. That's the point that you want. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the other one real quick. All right, so if you just want, in case you want to see it again, here's my second one. Hard shell up. Get your scissors right underneath the shell. So you don't want to get trap any meat in there. Cut it right down the center. All the way to the tail. Just like that. Now once that part is done, trying to get this best angle here so you guys can watch this. Spread this apart like so. Trying to keep it as whole as possible. Use your fingers and just kind of push, just like that. And the goal is you want to separate the meat from the shell. Sometimes it's easy, like look, this side's already done. It popped right out. You can already see the lobster that's separated from the shell. That's what you want. And sometimes it's not so easy, just like the other side of this one's being really stubborn. Maybe if I turn it around. So if that case, use your thumb, put that right on the inside of the shell and kind of scoot the meat away from the shell. And then open it up. If you need to scoot more with your thumb, go right ahead, but just get it separated from the shell. Once it's separated, use your other thumb, put it right below, put your two fingers here on top and lift the meat out. But keep the tail part that you didn't cut through pinched. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pinch the shell back together and rest the meat right on top. And that's how it's gonna cook. That's why you wanna keep that shell together. So that's pretty much what you need to do right there is what it'll look like. See, pinch and lay on top. Now you might be careful. If you're cracking too much of the shell, you're going to get little things like this. Those are little pieces of the shell. So obviously you don't want those. So make sure you're cleaning that off, or else you're going to get crunchy chews. Definitely not what you want. Pinch and set it together. Easy. All right, so congratulations, you made it past the hardest part of this whole dish. Now we just want to season it just a little bit. So this guy's been falling apart, and I figured out why. He's missing a whole little part of his tail here. So that's causing him to fall over when I try to you know, place them up. So when you're buying your lobster tails from the store, you know, pick out the ones that you want. I had left it up to the guy at the counter to give me some, and maybe he just didn't like me. He saw, ha, he's gonna take this one with no tail. But you could always pick out the ones you want. Make sure you have one that has complete tail so they could stand up properly. So here I have some of that butter we did earlier. So all I'm gonna do is just dip, and with your hand, rub it on both sides, because this is going into the oven on broil. So it's going to be on really high heat, so you want to protect this under the high heat. We're going to do that with the other one. Just dip and then rub on all sides. Set it up. We're just going to have to like jimmy that one up so it sets up correctly, so you guys can see that. I'm trying some new camera angles here, so forgive me if this looks horrible. So now, it's so simple. All you do, got a little bit of paprika, gives it a little bit of color. Sprinkle some of that on there. So however much you want, it's up to you. And if you want to add salt and pepper, you can. I don't. I mean, it's a salt water crustacean, so in my opinion, it doesn't need salt. But up to you, you totally can. And then I just have an oven pan here, cookie sheet. And then they go onto the broiler for about 4 to 5 minutes. Keep your eye on them. Come on, man, stand up straight, get through it with me. Let me put these in the oven, and then we'll take them out in 4 to 5 minutes and see what we got. All right, so it's been a very quick 4 minutes. Let's open this up and see what we got. Well, my guy tried. He really tried to stay up. But there you go. Can you guys see that? Let me zoom in a little bit there. Looks good to me. So let me see if I can't raise this up here. There you go. See how the shells have turned that great red color. The meat on top with that paprika on it gives it, you know, just a delicious look. And my poor little guy here got all slumped over. I'm sorry. Thanks for trying though. And how easy was that? I mean, what'd that take? It took 4 minutes cooking time. The prep time might take 5 minutes depending on how many times you've done that. You know, the more times you cut off those legs and push that meat up, of course, the easier it gets. But super simple, and it makes a great, you know, date dinner. You know, try to impress. Tell them you slaved for hours over the stove, and really you did it in just a few minutes. And so there we have simple lobster tails with clarified butter. I told you it was going to be easy. Again, very simple, very tasty. Not the cheapest thing, but still a lot cheaper than going out to a restaurant and paying them 5 times as much for doing the exact same thing. And great dish for date night. So if you missed any of my other videos, click here or here. Please comment and or like down below. Subscribe if you have not already. Let me know what you guys want me to make. I'll make it. Until next time, I'm Tony Hickman for In Between Cuisine. See you then.